Alright, what is going on YouTube? This is Perkman speaking, and I'd like to welcome you once again to another Path of Exile video. Today, I'd like to talk about basics. You know, with the Breach League, there's been a lot of new things introduced in the first place, but there's also been a lot of new players coming to the game, which is pretty evident because the game is lagging. Thank you, GGG, for your potato servers. Thank you very much. Anyways, guys, for all of you new players, I've made this video today to give you kind of an overview about some basics of the game. Things you should know about if you want to get better at the game, things you should know about if you want to progress faster, and yeah, just things like these. I hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, see you in a bit. Okay, let me give you guys an overview before starting off the video. Things we're gonna cover today are: what are you playing with, the characters, and where do you find them. We're gonna cover currency that defines Path of Exile, item rarity, item variety, skill gems and support gems, the economy, how are you selling things, how are you buying things, and last but not least, we're gonna take a look at tips and tricks that basically just give you an easier and more comfortable experience with the game when starting out. Alright, let's talk about what you're playing with and how you're leveling up. So basically, Path of Exile is defined by 7 different characters, all of them having their own unique spot in the so-called skill tree. Now, this is what the skill tree looks like. One second. This is what a skill tree looks like. Now I know this can be really overwhelming the first time you see it, but trust me, you're gonna get a much clearer view on it the more and more you play. So like I've said, each character has its own starting point, so to say, or spot in the skill tree. So there's the Witch up here, the Templar right there, the Marauder, the Duelist, the Ranger, the Shadow, and last but not least, the Scion. So the difference between those characters is that all of them revolve around different attributes which give different benefits. So for example, there are 3 attributes. There's strength, dexterity, and intelligence. Strength granting 5 max life and 2% increased melee physical damage per 10 strength. Dexterity granting 20 accuracy rating and 2% evasion rating per 10 dexterity. And intelligence granting 5 mana and 2% of maximum energy shield per 10 intelligence. So each character more or less heavily revolves around those attributes. For example, the Witch is heavily focused on intelligence, the Marauder is heavily focused on strength, and the Ranger is heavily focused on dexterity. And the classes in between are kind of a mix. So the Templar is in between Marauder and Witch, so it's a mix between strength and intelligence. Kind of makes sense, right? The Scion is a special class because it's right in the middle of the tree. You can basically choose which way you want to go concerning the build you want to play. So the skill tree works in a way that you get so-called skill points from quests you fulfill or basically just leveling up. For each level you get 1 skill point that you can spend on a tree. The cap level is level 100. So with all the quests and the max level you reach, there's a little bit more than 100 points to spend in this tree. And it's basically a big clusterfuck of nodes and things you can get to make your character defensive wise and offensive wise more stronger. So yeah, that's basically how the skill tree works. And how you basically make a build is that you choose a skill gem that you want to play later on in the game, and you take a look at what damage types you need for it to be stronger, for it to be successful. So this is how you kind of plan out your character. Now let's talk about leveling. Path of Exile covers 3 different difficulties. It covers the normal, the cruel, and the merciless difficulty. All of them, of course, getting increasingly difficult after finishing 4 acts. So each difficulty has 4 acts, like I've already said, and each act is more challenging, and of course each difficulty is more and more challenging and requires you to make the character better, gear up, stuff like that. After you finish the whole story, you start mapping. And mapping is basically the end game of Path of Exile. It's out of the storyline, and you can basically choose which maps you want to play. They range from tier 1 to tier 15. Of course, tier 15 being the most challenging one, being the highest monster level, stuff like that. And also, of course, dropping the highest value in items. So, basically, mapping is your way to get experience, a lot of that, get high value items, and yeah, basically get your wealth going, get your character going, and that's basically it. Okay, so Path of Exile covers different varieties of items and also different rarities of items. Starting off with the normal rarity. These are basically those gray items that have no specific mods or properties to them. Second, there are the magic items, each of them having 2 properties giving all kinds of stats that you can think of. Next up, there's the rare items. Each of them giving you up to 6 attributes. They don't have to be 6 attributes or 6 properties. Boosting your defense, boosting your offense, stuff like that. And last but not least, there are so-called unique items. They have this brown orange-ish kind of look to them, and like the name implies, they have really unique properties to them that can shape a whole character's build, a whole build's character, excuse me, later on in the game. Alright, as you can see, the items of Path of Exile have so-called sockets. Sockets are these circle kind of things that you can see right here covering the artwork of the item. Sockets can have different colors. They can have colors from green to red and to blue. Now, basically, the task of sockets is to be your storage room for skill gems that you want to play. So, like I've already said, each of them has a different, can have a different color. The skill gems or support gems in Path of Exile also have the ability or have the property to be blue, red, and green. So there's blue skill gems only fitting in blue sockets, then there's red skill gems only fitting in red sockets. Now, to really show you what a socket does is basically I'm gonna pick this skill gem right here, and as you can see, it is a blue skill gem, so I have to put it into a blue socket. Now if I equip the item, the skill will be displayed in my skill chain right here, and now I have the possibility to cast a spell. So this is basically how sockets work. Now there's a different amount in sockets that each item in PoE can obtain. There's items like chest armors and two-handed weapons that can range from 1 socket up to 6 sockets. Then there's items such as helmets, gloves, and boots that can range from 1 socket up to 4 sockets. And lastly, there are items such as one-handed weapons and shields that can range from 1 socket up to 3 sockets. Now, the sockets that you have in an item can be linked with each other, which basically gives you the ability to fit a skill gem into a socket like we've done before and support it with a so-called support gem. So 2 links give you the possibility to do that. Now you could also have 3 links. Now you could support your skill gem with 2 support gems, and so on and so on. This is also the reason why 6 linked items, for example, so items with 6 sockets, all of them linked, are really valuable because you can support your skill gem with 5 different support gems. Yeah, that is basically how sockets work. Let's talk about currency in Path of Exile. The unique thing about PoE is that there's really no specific currency but orbs that are differentiated in their value. Orbs are basically items that are used to give or change properties of a different item. They are your crafting items, so to say. And orbs can also change an item's rarity and can be differentiated in a way that they focused on different stages of item rarities. So there's orbs that more specifically focus on magic items, orbs that more specifically focus on rare items, and just orbs in general that focus on all of these. So first of all, let's start off with the magic item orbs, so to say. There's the Orb of Transmutation, which gives you the possibility to upgrade a normal item to a magic item. There is the Orb of Alteration, which gives you the possibility to re-roll all the properties of a magic item. And the Orb of Augmentation, which adds a random property to your magic item. Now, there's the Orb of Alchemy, which basically is the transmute for rare items, because it upgrades a normal item into a rare item. The Chaos Orb is pretty much the alteration item of rare items because it rerolls all the properties of a rare item, and the Exalted Orb is the augmentation orb of the rare items because it adds one random property to a rare item. Now, like I've already said, there are tons of orbs in the game, and a lot of those are too complicated to explain right now and kind of unnecessary as well. You can pretty much just look them up, and you will also learn their ability while leveling up your character. But a few things to notice here. There are so-called utility orbs, I'd name them. One of those is the Javelus Orb, which gives you the ability to reforge the number of sockets on an item, which is standing right there basically. So basically it gives you the possibility to put your item from 1 socket up to 6 sockets, stuff like that. Then there's also the Orb of Fusing, which gives you the possibility to link those sockets that you have obtained through the Javelus Orb. And last but not least, there is the Chromatic Orb, which basically recolors the sockets in an item from red, blue, and green. So yeah, these are pretty much the most important orbs that you need to know about when starting off with the game. Let's talk about skill gems in Path of Exile, because the special thing about PoE is that characters are not limited to a set of skills which each character obtains. They can choose from all the skills there are in the game. It's simply dependent on the way you want your character to be. So there's 159 gems in Path of Exile, so you have a huge choosing point right there, and that's a special thing about the game which makes it so beautiful, that you can really do something unique with your character because you can choose from all these skill gems. Now, skill gems can be colored red, blue, or green. You can earn those skill gems through doing the quests. You know, if you proceed through the story, you will get vendor rewards, and they will reward you with skill gems. You can buy them online, which we will talk about later. And yeah, that's basically it. Now, you have to differentiate between skill gems and support gems. Skill gems are basically the attack you're gonna do, the spell you're gonna cast when you're playing the game. Now, support gems are your source of boosting the skill in terms of damage, in terms of utility, etc. So, to give you kind of an example real quick, I've listed a few skill gems right here and a few support gems right here. As you can see, they variate in color. So there's a blue one, there's a green one, there's a red one, and there's also support gems which have these colors too. So now, when I want to play Flame Blast. This is a skill gem, for example, which does a radius of fire and then explodes. So when I equip Flame Blast, so now I'm able to use it because it appears in my skill chain right here, I can link it, for example, with the support gem of Fire Penetration, which gives me the benefit of penetrating 36% of fire resistance of enemies. So as long as these sockets are linked and the colors of the sockets are correct, I can link these skill gems and I will benefit from fire penetration. Now you can also see there's a little icon right there which implies that Flame Blast is supported by Fire Pen. Alright, next up, I'd like to talk about the economy, how you are selling things and how you are buying things. So basically, as in any other MMORPG, PoE is also a game which is about trading to make profit. Well, not necessarily trading, but finding items in maps and learning how to price them and sell them for profit. So PoE is not your standard MMORPG, you could say, because we don't have a system of like a marketplace where you could just list items overnight for a certain price and people could buy them, and when you log back on you have the money on your account, for example. That's not how Path of Exile works. PoE has a kind of a different system to it, and it's basically that you have to list items yourself through a stash tab, and people will message you when you're online. It will be displayed when you're online on the website I'm going to show you in a sec, and they're going to message you, you're going to invite them, and then you're going to trade. So basically how it works is that you have these stash tabs that you sadly have to buy. Well, you don't have to go the buying way. You can also like set up a shop for free and do it that way. But it's just a lot easier through the premium stash tabs, which are not that expensive. It's a really good investment when you get hooked on the game. So basically what this does, it gives you the ability to chuck some items in here and price them for a certain amount that you would like to get. Now, how to price items and what you have to look out for is a whole nother topic. It's a lot of properties and a lot of influence coming to finding a price to an item, and it kind of comes with experience for the game. So basically I'm gonna link a few videos in the description on how to trade, how to price items, so you could just watch them and easily learn those. But this is endgame. I mean, you don't have to bother with all that pricing and that endgame kind of stuff right now. You just have to learn the basics. But I thought that it would be good to show you how you're gonna make profit in the endgame. So this is the page right here I wanted to show you, and it's called PoE Goods, and it gives you the possibility to basically search for items and for a certain price. So you could price check through this website, or just buy yourself something through this website. Now, for example, my body armor that I'm wearing right now, Infernal Mantle. If you were to buy an Infernal Mantle, you could just type Infernal Mantle in here, right there, just like that. Press the search button and it will show you all the results it has for an Infernal Mantle. Now you can just press Whisper, go back to your game, message the person, and buy the item. I'm gonna do it real quick just to show you. Maybe he replies, maybe not. Let's see if he replies. Well, it doesn't look like it, but that's basically how it goes. You just message the person, go to their hideout, and trade the item. Now, last but not least, I'd like to give you guys a few tips and tricks that will help you to have a much better experience with the game, and yeah, just basically will help you to get through those early stages of not knowing anything, having a lot of questions and stuff like that. So the first thing I'd like to recommend is getting a loot filter. I will put a link in the description of a really good loot filter. Basically, as the name implies, it hides certain items that are laying on the ground getting dropped from bosses that are just completely useless, and there is no need for them to be displayed, so they just kind of cover them. It just gives you a lot clearer view on items that you have to pick up and helps you, yeah, progress faster. Now, another tip, which is really important, is when you're starting out, don't just run in there and just pick some random skill points in the tree, because you're gonna fail. Like, most likely, it's really unlikely that you're gonna have a working character when you don't know anything about the game. So my big tip for you guys is to go for made builds with made skill trees. I will link you a video from Maffel in the description. He's a really advanced and good PoE player, and he has some really good starting out builds, especially for the Breach League, but you can also do the builds on standard or whichever league you decide to play in, and it just helps you with not thinking about everything that much, while learning basics that have to do with things out of your skill tree, out of the points you want to spend. So that is that was really helping me when I was starting with the game. Now, another big tip is that you just basically have to be patient. When you're starting off with the game, a friend of mine just started a few days ago, and he was struggling a lot. He didn't get the purpose of the game. He was like, I'm just fighting some mobs and it's just so slow and I don't know what to do. You really have to be patient. You have to pull through. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 hours that are just really boring, but you have to sit through them for real. Because if you do and reach the end game, you get the beauty that PoE really is. It's an awesome game. It has a lot of variety. It has things that other MMORPGs or games that you could compare just cannot offer in any way, in my opinion. It's a great game. Just be patient, sit through, watch videos, ask questions, and you're gonna get there, believe me. Now, another tip that I have for you guys is to watch streamers. Get on Twitch, just watch what the streamers do. Mostly they're just mapping in high endgame maps, and you're probably not going to understand all of it, but just having to do with the game, seeing what it's going to be like, how exciting it can actually be, will keep you going, give you more knowledge about the game, and make you a better player. Now, once again, guys, please check out the description. There will be a lot of useful links for you in there. And yeah, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this beginner's guide. It was a lot of work put into this, actually, and I really hope you liked it. If you did, it would mean a lot to me if you could drop a like on this, maybe even subscribe to the channel. And yeah, guys, it's been Perkman, and I'm out. Thank you for listening.